we're able to bring you this afternoon is Melanie Hooper is a homegrown girl who we watched enthralled last year on Dancing with the Stars as she went through week after week to the very top.
When we had 7 months on Broadway, and it was the first ever ballroom dancing show to do something like that, so it was amazing.
So, although they did not give the style its name, the Milliners Stephen Jones and Philip Tracy are credited with having popularised and established Fascinators.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to read a page and a half about Dr. Geoffrey Hill. But I figured you probably all know about that anyway, so I won't bother.
Thanks very much for asking me to come up. It's a shame it's the World Cup final and that my team is losing badly, but most of my lab is involved in leukemia research. All the transplants for the whole of Queensland and northern New South Wales are done in Brisbane. So the bone marrow transplant unit in Brisbane is about 2 or 3 times the size of anywhere else in the country and is on par with a lot of the big US centres. So by a long way, Brisbane has more expertise in transplant than anywhere else. What we've been trying to do in Brisbane is try and look at ways of preventing graft versus host disease. So when graft versus host disease occurs, and it occurs in about half of people after a transplant, that newly transplanted immune system recognises the recipient as foreign and it mounts a rejection response against the recipient. Now, if I put my kidney into you, you'll try and reject my kidney. Here I'm putting my immune system into you and my immune system's trying to reject you. So it's trying to reject everything. It's not just an organ. This is the way we're trying to be able to get transplants into patients that don't have a donor, but it's also a way we're now trying to make the transplants much safer so that when something goes wrong, we can actually properly get rid of the cells that are causing the problem. And we're now able to genetically modify cells so that they can specifically recognise leukemia. And I think it's fair to say the days of chemotherapy and radiation for cancer care are probably will be gone in 10 years because the genetically modifying immune cells is clearly the way to that medicine and science is progressing. Thank you very much for inviting me. I hope New Zealand make a better fist of it in the next hour or so.
Miss Jess, you are one of my finalists for the best dressed. Okay, so I have to pick a winner, and my winner is Jess. And Jess.
You'll know Ewan Jones.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'd just like to correct one thing in the introduction. It does matter whether you voted for me or not. Okay, so a painting by Lynn Smith. There you go. Still life. Still life. Lovely piece of gear. All on canvas. It's signed Lynn Smith. 600, third and very last time. Sold over here at $600. There we go. Congratulations.
Gary Heyman, thank you.
Gary, well done, mate. Overture, curtains, lights, 175, you make it 200, 175. All finished at $175. Sold. Sold there in the gentleman's bed there. There's a certificate of authenticity floating around somewhere. If you can't find one, I'll draw one up for you at work. All right, so away you go. Cowboys Roosters, signed football, 2010. It was a good year. Sold $400 at the back of the room there at $400. Thanks for having me.
It must be great to see Geoff here, to come and see the generosity of the people of Townsville and to know that there's work being done that must be so encouraging and inspiring.
Yeah, it really is, actually. Got a lot of people to thank for it. But Geoff being at the head of the research of all of this, it's pretty exciting. And not only that, it gives me a lot of confidence in the future for where bone marrow transplants are heading. And
so it's got to be reasonably hard for you at the moment in that you're at the centre of all this, and you've got to keep your own spirits up. But I've got to tell you, it must do you good to see all these people here on an afternoon like this.
Yeah, it's good. The turnout's been good, and Dad tells me a lot about the feedback that a lot of you in the room kind of go up to him and ask about me all the time. So I definitely get that and appreciate all that, because you build a sort of strength off that and go from there. But thanks to everyone. I just got a lot of people to thank for where I am today. So. Yeah.
So, the stuff that Bob tells us is pretty light on. I mean, what do you really get up to? Do you go out at night and stuff? Like, who do you think is the winner of the best dressed male competition?
I'll have to give it to this gentleman in the super centre.
And he looks so surprised too.
Really heartfelt, because we really thank you from the bottom of our hearts the fact that we can get a group of people like yourselves in North Queensland raise a substantial amount of money for a cause, and it just goes straight in directly to the research account. It won't go anywhere else. So what started out as just an idea soon snowballed into the event that we have today. It would not have been possible for today to be so successful without the relentless, behind-the-scenes commitment, both financial and personal, of Tammy and John Larkin. Do what they did and still run a business is testament to the unselfish community spirit. They were assisted by a talented organiser extraordinaire, Carla, fellow Townsville Central Rotarian and General Manager of the Townsville RSL. And then my long-suffering Debbie, whose talents with fashion and headgear and design were on display for all to see. And not to forget Damien, the man who wanted to do something useful and practical, who set the spark for what is today's event. I'd also like to acknowledge, it's very important, the contribution, the cash contribution from the Townsville Central Rotary Club. They put in $5,000. And it's also very important to recognise the contribution from Townsville Sunrise. They're a very generous club, they're very proactive, and they're the first to put their hands up for something worthy. They also donated $5,000. Townsville Rotary Club, it's a smaller club. I was asked to go out there and speak, and they were very happy to donate $1,000, the Rotarians themselves. So Rotary, as an organisation, has donated that money, and then on top of that, the members just put their hands up, and they're so willing to contribute $85 a head to go in to raise more money, again, separate from the club itself. So I really would like to thank personally everybody in the Rotary clubs that did that, because we've got a couple of tables here, members, a couple of tables from Townsville Sunrise, and my thanks goes out to everybody in that club especially. Just as a whole, what can I say? It's really good. Last but not least, Geoff Hill. Come on, don't worry about the cricket, let's get up here.
What's the scoreboard?
I'm worried, all right.
Come on. Yeah. Professor Hill, you've spent an enormous part of your life researching GVHD. When I was told in the ward 2 years ago, I was in a ward down there where Damon was at his lowest. He looked like one of those members from the POW camp on the Burma Railway, bald as a badger, pretty weak, full of sickness, and in an isolation room, and he'd been there for weeks. And when this doctor, was having a chat to him, and Damien asked him some pretty key questions, and he got more out of him, this particular doctor, than anybody else. And when he left the room, I said to the nurse or the senior sister there, I said, who is that guy? And she said, oh, that's Professor Geoff Hill. He researches GVHD. And she said, if anybody's going to find a cure one day for that, it'll be him. And that was 2 years ago. Now, I'm not suggesting that Geoff Hill has found a cure for GVHD, but it just goes to show how close I've come with this breakthrough and the further research. So you're very dedicated, Geoff, and I just take my hat off to you. That's yours.